Hi everyone, I know it's been a while since I've done a video, so here I am and I'm back. So I decided to do the long-awaited random questions video. I asked several people in my life and on Facebook to submit some random questions, kind of like a little get-to-know video and everything, so here we go. One of my favorite songs is by a singer named Zaz. Z-A-Z, and she is French. She sings in French. She does some English songs, but not many. But one of my favorite songs by her that is kind of like my go-to song that I will listen to if I'm having kind of like a funky day. I find it kind of meditative and therapeutic for me. The lyrics are absolutely beautiful. It's called La Lessive. L-A-S-E-S-S-I-V-E, which means the wash or the cleanse. So I went online and I translated the lyrics for you. So I of course listened to it in French, but I thought I would read the English lyrics to you, and they're just gorgeous and they move me every time. And we climb up mountains in our lives, in our hearts, this endless love mixed with pain, sharing and feeling the happiness, engraved in you as if to pay a tribute. I climb up the mountain as I climb up my life. All these eyes meeting, do I understand them? I may have seen it 1,000 times, yet I am still surprised by the beauty of the people who amaze me. And the chorus is, wordless beauty can be the magic of the moment. Down to your knees in the mirror, nature is taking its course. I keep with me the warmth, the taste of the present, these blessed moments, when it was you, when it was me. They're rising, climbing, facing their fears. There's no prison but the one you make in your own heart. The bright gleam teaches me, the moon, their looks, not to die before time. I treasure this experience in my skin, back to my daily life. In the pages of a book, those sentences describing me, everything ends after the bliss of the clothes washing. Entangled in my head, down to my backpack, little storms lift me up by the sky. The cold air I'm breathing makes me feel lighter. I didn't see it coming with my feet in the snow. Since then, it's been easier, one step after another. If I walk peacefully, if I'm somebody else, I'll have my whole life to let nature take its course. It's what we climbed up when it was you, when it was me. And it's a song that I listen to over and over again, kind of like if I'm having one of those days, or even just sometimes if I'm in the car and, on the way home from work and everything after a long kind of grueling day, I'll pop that on. And Eric kind of teases me because we follow each other on Spotify, and it's like, I see you listen to it all the time, and it's kind of endearing. So I won't torture you with trying to say it in French because my French is so incredibly rusty. So SUSIE, one of Eric's friends, his office wife, who they worked together years ago in California, is just a doll baby. I haven't met her in person, and we're friends on Facebook, and she just is always so kind and sweet and has the most adorable little daughter I see on Facebook. So she has asked several times, how did you and Eric meet? And so our story is probably far from conventional. We met through our mutual circle of friends. We were introduced to each other by Eric's entrance into our close-knit circle of friends via another friend, Russell. So I think I knew Eric easily, like, if I really think about the time, like well over a year before we became at all anything resembling romantic. And I would see him on average at least 2-3 times a week socially. We'd get together and we would all have a good time and everything. And it was one night, probably about 1.5 years ago now, that we were all out, and we were out at a dance club. We were having a good time, a new club in the area, and And our friends had walked away, and I knew he was standing next to me, and I was just watching the crowd and everything and watching the people have a good time. And just the place had a great energy. And then, you get that feeling where someone is watching you, and I turned over to him, and he was sitting there kind of smiling and watching me. And he just so gently and kind of with this beautiful, quiet confidence leaned in and kissed me. And I was completely shocked because there had never been any flirtation before or anything like that. And in the middle of the kiss, at first my mind was just reeling, and it was kind of like, oh my God, Erica's kissing me. Oh my God, Erica's kissing me. Like, what is going on? And then very quickly after that, I was like, oh my, this is very nice, and it was really, one of those delightfully euphoric kisses that just makes your head kind of spin and swoon, and you get that feeling of floating. And it was really pretty magical and completely blindsided me, and definitely proves that we are each other's curveball. And I pulled back, and he was apologetic in a way. He was like, I'm sorry if I overstepped boundaries. I think you're amazing, and I've thought you were amazing for a long time, and just completely spilled. And, and I think he had fears that he had crossed a boundary and everything. But then I responded with, don't apologize. That was quite lovely. And so it kind of started from there, and it was a very casual, slow progression. And this is probably where the unconventional part starts, is this kind of happened, several times over the next following weeks and months. And, we would be out and about, and there would be kind of this like downtime where we would be left alone to our own devices. And I remember, I think the second time we kissed, I said to him, I was like, oh my God, I never thought they'd leave. When our friends walked away again, and I got this glint in my eye, and he went in and kissed me again. And then it became like a little bit of a joke with our friends that, oh, there they go again, and we would kind of like steal these kisses and everything. And they were lovely. And then I began to really like look for them and look forward to them, and look forward to Saturday night when we would be out in this arena that I knew I could possibly steal a kiss. And as the time went by, it became just abundantly clear to both of us that, these were more than casual kisses, and definitely very strong feelings were developing. And it wasn't until we kind of both shared that with each other, and we were, I think, kind of afraid to share that with each other, for fear of, kind of losing the great friendship that we already developed. And he asked me one evening, and he said, the boy would like to know if the girl would like to go out on a date Wednesday. And I thought that was just very sweet. And we scheduled a date, and he came to my door in the apartment I was living at the time, and I opened the door, and I was barefooted, as I normally am. Of course, I'm in my own apartment, and he was standing there, and he had these cute boots on, and he looked at me, and with this kind of quizzical look on his face, and he was looking at me. He goes, why do you look different? And he goes, you seem shorter. And I was like, what are you talking about? You've known me for a while now. What do you mean I seem shorter? And then I had this this epiphany, and I was like, oh my God, you usually see me after work, or especially if we go out on the town, the whole gang of us, and I usually have heels on. I said, this is probably the first time you've seen me, flat-footed, and just, barefoot with no heels. And he looks at me and he goes, you're just a tiny little thing, which is far from the truth. I'm 5'9", but I guess when you're 6'1", it is a big difference. and normally when I was seeing him eye to eye. So he kind of like leaned in to give me a kiss, as a greeting, and I had to actually go up on my tippy toes a little bit to reach his lips. And I pulled back and I like bowed my head almost in this kind of weird blushing coquettish movement, not realizing it. And he looked at me and was like, "Are you blushing?" And I was like, no, I don't do that. I had that removed. I don't have that ability anymore. And so thus started our kind of love affair, if you will, just with this, a kiss was stolen and the rest is history, as they say. So that was very sweet. And that's how we met, Susie. So I hope you're satiated. Of course, Sparkly, Eric. And it is, what is the perfect day to you? Well, those of you that know me know I like to sleep in. I'm a little bit of a night owl. I stay up late, and ideally my perfect day would be not having to set the alarm and waking up kind of when I wake up, waking up with the sun kind of pouring into the window. And I love to have time in the mornings to kind of rally and rise slowly and peacefully. And I don't wake up grouchy, I wake up smiley, but a little slow. I love to, start with a nice little cup of coffee and maybe the morning news or a crossword or something like that, just kind of sitting there slowly waking up almost meditatively. And definitely would be like a weekend, like a Sunday. Breakfast food is my absolute favorite food. Pretty much all food is my favorite food. And we live here in City Place, so we both agree that we love to walk over to City Place in the morning. And, there's probably many of us that rarely see City Place in the morning. And when the sun is kind of coming up from the east, and it sheds the most beautiful light on the buildings that we usually don't see, because, those of us that go there usually see it in the midday, afternoon, or whatever, and it has this really kind of beautiful light to it, this almost sleepy feel to it as well. To go grab a bite over there, and there's a couple of restaurants we go to, and we, like many places we go to, we've gotten to know the wait staff there, and it's really cute. We love to chat with them and joke with them, and that's really nice. So going and grabbing like a nice brunch, probably the next would be going to the beach or even going to the pool with, a fabulous book, just, curl up on a lounge chair with a book, go for a nice dip, intermittently. And, the water has always been very, very therapeutic to me, and, almost healing in a way. I'm just such a water baby. It means a lot to me to be near it, and to be able to swim and everything. And so doing something like that and just soaking in the sun, and then probably grabbing a nice lunch, and maybe in the evening going to see a movie. I love cinema. I love films. I'm definitely a huge cinephile. With a very broad taste in movies. I would love that. And then probably just a really quiet evening at home, with my love by my side. And I think that would probably be my perfect day. Really, perhaps it's a loaded statement. I don't like to consider myself a high maintenance person, I really enjoy kind of the simple pleasures in life, good company, good friends, good food, life experiences, enrichment, kind of learning, culture, things like that. So really incorporating those at a very kind of leisurely, organic pace would probably be kind of top on my list. I think that would be my perfect day. By nature, I think it would surprise most people, I'm more of an introvert, than I think people realize. So I think, having that really nice, quiet, downtime is important to me, to kind of like regroup and kind of decompress. So, having those beautiful kind of moments intermixed with these great human experiences that we can have with the people in our lives. So I guess that would be my perfect day. My dear friend ALLANA asked me, what has your biggest obstacle been after transitioning? After I've transitioned, I've really tried to kind of shed a lot of the kind of arduous qualities that, have been my transition. There has been this incredible catharsis, rebirth, if you will. But, there has been strife that's come with it. So I kind of have to kind of like switch gears mentally and think about, I had to think about that one, what have been my biggest obstacles and kind of revisit some of that stuff. I think those of you that know me know definitely that dating would probably have to be one of my biggest obstacles. There's two that are on my mind that I gave thought to before answering this question. Dating was definitely one of them, because if you think of me as transgender, male to female, and if you think of me as basically the sum of my parts, fully transitioned, technically my dating demographic is heterosexual men, and I still feel very much part of the GLBTQI community. They're adding acronyms or adding initials. And, but trying to date straight men was incredibly problematic, because even though the sum of my parts are female, they feel very judged by society that, society is still going to think that they're gay. So I was really unable to find a very mainstream kind of heterosexual man that was kind of up for the challenge, if you will, or was up for rallying to accept that, was comfortable enough in their own skin to, say, hey, this is who I am, this is who I love. And there's many layers to this dynamic, that I've given a lot of thought to. And I think it's a certain grooming that happens in society too, with heterosexual men. I think, after I've had a great deal of experience with them and dating them and everything, I had a lot of really beautiful experiences with heterosexual men and going on dates with them, and several of them were great in that they, felt safe enough to really kind of talk with me intimately about their take on all of it and their take on dating and, the dance, if you will, of the sexes, and the dance between a very mainstream genetic male and genetic female. And there's a lot of frustration in that, they felt they had to do kind of this dance, and there was this kind of over courtship, if you will. And one thing that I really took away from a lot of the heterosexual men that I had experiences with was they felt very bound by what they felt society thinks they should be and how they should act. And they were really kind of almost shackled by this. In a way, it's sad, but I learned that that's not really my problem. I liberated myself, and that's not a place I want to revisit or live in anymore. So it came abundantly clear to me that, with time I realized that dating heterosexual men was not an option for me. I had several experiences where I would start to date one and definitely develop feelings, almost fall in love, but then realize that I was not going to be integrated into their worlds. You know, I was definitely kept the secret. And, you know, we don't need to go in that. There's a lot of stories there, but that happened to me multiple times. So that was really difficult. And then the other obstacle that was probably really difficult for me was some of my personal relationships changed with genetic women. You know, we all know the relationship between a gay male and a heterosexual genetic woman. You know, it's very much a unique dynamic and is a beautiful relationship. And I had several friends that, you know, were still in my life and everything. And, oh, somebody's coming to visit. Say hi to the camera. Hello, hello. But anyhow, I had several female friends, and we had that unique relationship of kind of a gay male and a heterosexual female. And kind of like, if you will, you know, kind of like Will and Grace sort of, you know, relationship. And after I transitioned, you know, I won't deny I'm different. I'm evolved in a different way. I think what a lot of people didn't realize sometimes when I lived as Scott and lived as a gay male, you know, talked about before, there was this kind of construct of this over gregarious gay male, you know, almost kind of like clownish, if you will, that, you know, was masking a lot of the turmoil that's in me. And so after that was kind of shed, you know, what we were left with, you know, what I was left with was probably my most authentic sense of self, you know. And I think, you know, there are the majority of the people in my life, the very special people in my life, were able to rewrap their minds around who I am now. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, to feel like you're loved for who you are unconditionally. But there were some of those relationships that kind of fell by the wayside, and some actually just kind of ended. None really with, what's the expression? None ended really badly with anything horrible. It was more like just kind of like how people drift in and out of our lives, and, you know, the relationship or friendship gradually just kind of fizzled out. So, or the friendships remained, but they're definitely not how they were. So I would say those are the probably the two biggest obstacles in my life from transitioning. Chloe is here, stomping all over my notes and everything. There she is, my little girl. So sweet. This is our little nutty girl. She's very, very silly and very playful. So, you know, even though I revisit those obstacles and kind of explain them, you know, they're kind of pretty far from my present day life and my present day psyche. You know, my transition has given me a liberation unsurpassing, or surpassing anything. It's just unbelievable, you know, the joy I feel in living this most authentic version of myself, you know. But there were some of those relationships that kind of fell by the wayside, and some actually just kind of ended. None really with, what's the expression? None ended really badly with anything horrible. It was more like just kind of like how people drift in and out of our lives, and, you know, the relationship or friendship gradually just kind of fizzled out. So, or the friendships remained, but they're definitely not how they were. So I would say those are the probably the two biggest obstacles in my life from transitioning. Chloe is here, stomping all over my notes and everything. There she is, my little girl. So sweet. This is our little nutty girl. She's very, very silly and very playful. So, even though I revisit those obstacles and kind of explain them, they're kind of pretty far from my present day life and my present day psyche. My transition has given me a liberation unsurpassing, or surpassing anything. It's just unbelievable, the joy I feel in living this most authentic version of myself, and I really am the happiest I've been in my whole life. So let's see what else we have to answer. Susie asked, what are a few things you couldn't live without? Oh my God, where do I start? I was thinking about a lot of these questions before and everything, and there's probably so many things I feel I couldn't live without, but I think probably top on my list is kind of literature. I love to read. I love to learn. I've always had kind of a thirst for knowledge, and literature is one of those things that can kind of transport us into a different world, a different time, and it actively works our imagination when we're reading. It's incredibly therapeutic. It's a very healthy escape, if you will. Especially kind of historic literature, where the history and you're kind of learning about different times and different cultures intermixed with this fictional story is just really delightful, and I love that. I would say music is definitely way, way up on the list. I love music, pretty much all types of music, multiple genres, a very broad spectrum of music. That's definitely one thing that Eric and I share in common that's really nice. We're constantly sharing music back and forth, that we find on Spotify. We, literally text each other during the day, hey, listen to this track, I just found this artist, and we do that all the time, and it's really nice to be able to share something like that, that you're so passionate about with someone. So music is really up there, how it can just kind of move something inside us, and that people can do, kind of these amazing things with their voice and emote in such a unique, beautiful way, and whether they're playing an instrument or whatever, so definitely music is way up there. I know it's going to sound funny when I say I couldn't live without food, but of course I couldn't live without food or water, but I am a huge foodie. I love trying different foods. I'm very adventurous when it comes to foods. I think it's a beautiful sensory experience that one can have. The taste, the smell, the texture, the presentation, and also to share it with, those you love, whether you host a dinner party, go to someone's house for a dinner party. We just went to two dear friends' house the other night for dinner party, and it was really sweet and just a special evening. I think there's nothing like sharing a meal, kind of breaking bread, if you will, with, other people. So that's really special. Those are probably the three, things that roll off the top of my head that I absolutely couldn't live without, and they're probably more, if we think about it, kind of, living without those experiences in life, because life is to be experienced and, kind of drank in, if you will. What is one talent that you don't possess that you wish you did? Oh, I have so many talents. I don't know if there's really any that I don't possess. Okay, just kidding. Probably singing. I would say singing is one thing that I really admire in people, and or envy in people, I should say. You know, someone that can really sing beautifully. I mean, the type of singer that just really moves something in you and kind of stirs you down to your core. I'll never forget years ago, I had the opportunity to dance in one of the operas at the Kravitz Center. And it was the Russian opera, Eugenie Onegin. And I'll never forget, I was standing maybe 15 feet away from the lead soprano in rehearsal one day. And there was a certain part of this one aria she had to sing at the pinnacle of the opera. Of course, a very dramatic piece, as most operas are. And there was one particular note, a very high, sustained note that she had to hit. And when she was in such close proximity and she would hit this note, and it would just literally reverberate through you, just in waves, these undulating waves, and just kind of rattle your sense of self and your spirit. And it was this incredible visceral moment. That's something I'll never forget. I mean, that was easy 15 years ago, and I'll never forget that, you know, every time she hit that note, and just watching and most of all being marveled that this beauty came out of another human being. This was something that a person, a spirit, a soul, an entity could kind of create and convey, and just, it was dripping with emotion, and she was kind of sharing a piece of herself in this beauty with this incredible gift. So I've often wondered what it would feel like to be able to produce something of such power from your own vocal cords and kind of do that. And to me, that is something that I really covet, and I think is an incredibly beautiful thing, you know, when someone can sing, and I really mean sing beautifully and kind of move people. I guess that ties back to me having such a love of music. So I really wish that I could sing, really sing beautifully. So that would be something that, you know, I wish I possessed. It's kind of funny. This question was from SUSIE. If you could be anyone for a day, who would it be? And I really kind of pondered this one and kind of thought about it, you know, and I thought about, you know, people I admire and look up to, and there are people, you know, that I definitely look up to and, you know, think are amazing individuals in history and present day, in my life, in my, you know, in like film and TV, and, you know, in my personal life and everything like that. But I can honestly say that it's not really how I view life. I don't ever think like, oh, I wish I was them, because I'm me. So if there's something in myself that I don't, you know, how do I word this? If there's something in someone else that I'm kind of, you know, admiring or looking up to, in a way that I almost would say, you know, I wish I was them or something like that, I guess I try to make that one of my goals, you know, something to achieve, you know, something to strive to. And instead of, you know, kind of wishing I was one way, kind of materializing it and kind of making it happen, and interlacing it with my own personal evolution and growth. you know. So that one I kind of really had to ponder, and had the revelation and epiphany that I don't really think like that. You know, like when it comes to my transition, and you know, I I finally kind of decided to make my life what I want it to be. And I think we all have the power to be who we want to be, to manifest things in our life. We're all works in progress, and God only knows that I'm a work in progress. Um, and Sparkley can attest to that. You know, sometimes I'm a dream, and sometimes I'm a handful. I can honestly say that I'm constantly trying to be a better, kinder, more evolved version of myself. You know, that's one of the things I really admire in people. Kindness, authenticity, integrity, and those are things that I really try and work on in myself. And I think it's very easy in life to get derailed from our own journey of growth by, you know, outside influences, and, you know, we can kind of play the blame game. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're all really in control of, you know, who we are as an individual. And we are 100% responsible for ourselves and our actions, our behaviors, and how we present ourselves to the world and our influence on the world. So, yeah, so I guess if I could be anyone for a day, it would be the most perfect, best version of myself that I strive to be. I guess that would be my answer. So I think this was a really fun kind of like first start to the question and answer. So if you guys want to know anything else, or throw another batch of questions at me, throw me some curveballs, because I like tough ones. I'm pretty cerebral. I like a little bit of a challenge, one that really makes my brain work. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for listening.